Yeah, a lot of work. Yeah. Well, I've changed things even since that email I sent you. So like I said, I redid the front panel. So, yep, constantly tweaking.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow. Well, you know, I don't really know anything about those 3D printers, but I mean, is that expensive to do that? I mean, like, you made the panel from that 3D printer, and it took hours and hours and hours for it. I mean, is that an expensive proposition pretty much with any of the stuff that's printed like that, or does it depend on the size and the amount of hours that's required?
Yeah, there's a wide range of cost of printers. My particular printer was about $800, and then you have to buy the different filaments, and they range in price from $25 to over $100 a roll. It all depends on what kind of a part what kind of strength. Is it going to be need to be waterproof? Does it need to be ultraviolet proof? Blah 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 blah. So that all dictates the cost of the filaments. But one of the things though with the printer, you can download files to print on the printer, pre-made files, but then you're stuck with what that person designed. Probably 99% of what I do is I draw my own parts on a CAD program called Fusion 360, and that is a little bit of a learning curve to it. It's not easy. Luckily, there's a lot of YouTube videos out there to help you. And then you take that drawing and you convert it into a file, call it STL file, that this other piece of software has to convert into a G code that the printer understands. So there's a little bit of you need several pieces of software to get it to the printer.
Wow, that sounds complicated. If anybody can do it, you're the man for the job. I don't know if I have the patience to do that myself, but it does sound like one heck of a big learning curve, to say the least. But anyway, you're doing very well with it, from what I could tell from what you sent me there. So that's a feather in your cap, that's for sure. Wow. Okay. Well, Dave, we got you in the #1 spot. I'm waiting on net control. Carl's going to be net control this morning, so I'm just getting this thing tuned up and warmed up. So I got you in the #1 spot there, Dave. W6MQI. And anybody else that wants to check in early, you're welcome to come now. W6SSP.
November 6th, Bravo, Charlie Tango.
Okay. Well, good morning, Steve. W6SSP. You got a very nice signal into Dayton Valley this morning from the coast. And Bill, N6BCT, I've got you in the 3 spot. You got an excellent signal. That's as strong as I think I've ever heard you. So you must have done something different, maybe. Worked on your antenna or something, but Bill, you got a great signal in here this morning. You're in the #3 spot, sir. And is there a #4 spot out there for the Vintage Military Radio Net, taking early check-ins, waiting on net control? This is K0DWC. #4 is open.
NU6F, looking for #4. Good morning.
WA7, YBS, as usual this morning. Very nice signal this morning, and you are in the #4 spot, sir. Oh, okay. Is it #5 out there? If there's a #5, you can come now.
Whiskey 7, Mexico Sierra, W7MS.
Good morning, Henry. I thought I heard somebody else, too. Henry, I got you in the 5 spot there, man. Was there a number 6 out there? I thought I heard something. Come now.
I didn't hear you. Did you copy me in your success?
Yeah, Ron, I got you in the 4 spot, sir. And Henry's in the 5 spot. And is there a number 6 out there?
Well, let's go for number 6, W7MS.
Good morning, Mike. Mike's on something different, I can tell. Sounded good, Mike. You sound real military. I got you in the 6 spot, Mike. Is there a number 7 right there? Come down. Okay, nothing heard. So net control has arrived, so I'll let Carla give the rundown, and then we'll check for a number 7 here. So equipment's all warmed up and ready to go. So here is Whiskey 4 Delta Victor Quebec. Good morning, Carla.
Okay, K0DWC, this is Whiskey 4 Delta Victor Quebec. Well, good morning, everybody. So it seems like we got quite a few of you here already this morning, so we'll just get it going. So this is the Vintage Military Radio Net. This is Whiskey 4 Delta Victor Quebec. My name is Carla, and I'll be your net control this morning. We are operating on 3974 KC. The Vintage Military Radio Net is a round cable net, AM net, that provides the opportunity for hams to operate on their vintage military radio gear on the air. Military gear is encouraged, but certainly not required. Check-ins will be given a number that can be used in the handoff. I will call for check-ins at the end of each roundtable session. If anyone has anything for sale or want, please mention it during your turn in the roundtable session. So far in the number 1 spot, I have Dave, W6MQI. Good morning, Dave. In the number 2 spot, I have Steve, W6SSP. Good morning, Steve. In the number 3 spot, I have Bill, N6BCT. Good morning, Bill. In the number 4 spot, I have Ron, NU6S. Good morning, Ron. And number 5 spot, I have Henry, WA7YBS. Good morning, Henry. And the number 6, I have Mike, W7 Mexico Sierra. Good morning, Mike. Is there anybody else out there would like to check in for the first go-around and be number 7? Please come now.
I'm going for lucky number 7, K6BXY.
And what about your husband?
What husband? Good morning, Vern. I got you in the number 6 spot, K6BXY. And let me see if there's a number 8 out there. Please come now.
K0DWC. Thank you, Mike.
Okay. Got K0DWC, Chuck. Good morning, Chuck. Is there another check-in out there who'd like to be number 9? Please come now. Okay, nothing heard. So, we are on the ART-13 this morning with the AR-7 and the D104 Lollipop mic. And Homebrew Power Supply doing about, what's our wattage? 200 watts this morning. Sorry, guys. It's a little chaotic in the room this morning, and I got no voice. But I guess we'll go ahead and start in the number 1 spot today, W6MQI to take it. This is Whiskey 4 Delta Victor, Quebec.
Okay, Carla. Well, you're sounding good this morning on the ART-13 here into Livermore. In fact, everybody's sounding really good. I do have my local noise here. It's probably going to get worse as the net progresses, so we'll see how that happens. Works out. But, good morning, all. Steve, Bill, Ron, Henry, Mike, Vern, and Chuck. And we're on the TCS setup again today. TCS 6 receiver, TCS 14 transmitter with the D104, and driving the Drake L7 through a Dentron MT3000A antenna tuner. And the mic, the D104, is going through the remote box as well. And it's 48 degrees. We've been having really nice weather down here lately. Running around in a t-shirt. Seems like spring. So. But anyway, that's the rundown here. So over to Steve. W6SSP, W6MQI.
Okay, thank you, Dave, and good morning, everybody. Carla and everybody else on the net. A beautiful spring-like day today here. Anyway, this is Steve, W6SSP, just north of Santa Rosa, using the usual Collins 75A1 receiver and matching 32V1 transmitter, D104 microphone, into a dipole about 30 feet up, running about 85 watts or so. And I have a safety warning for those of you that have HP test equipment in your shop. This has happened to me a few times. There is a capacitor in these things that's right across the line, and they tend to explode. I've had 3 fail in the past 3 years. I had one fail yesterday, and it's pretty dangerous. One of them actually caught fire, and they're very unique caps. A brief description of them is they are yellow translucent plastic, and the ratings are 0.1 microfarad at 250 volts AC. And the dangerous thing about these is they are right across the AC line in HP test equipment from the 1970s up till I don't know when. They may still be using the darn things. Anyway, in some cases they are before the power switch and before the fuse. So just having stuff plugged in, you can have one of these things fail and actually catch fire. Had that happen to me yesterday, and not a good thing to experience, and you don't want your house burning down over these things. Anyway, if you want more details, I have a picture. Just drop me an email. I know Henry just mentioned that he got a 3325 synthesizer, audio synthesizer. And Henry, I'm sure you got one of those things in that. It's worth taking the time to pop the cover and pull that out. They don't need to be replaced. They're just like an RFI filter. So losing them out won't cause any problems. Anyway, with that warning, we'll send it over to Bill. And Bill, you sound really good today. Something is different. N6BCT, W6SSP.
Okay. Looks like I got it. All right, guys. Good morning, all. Good morning, Dave, Chuck, Steve, Bill. Bill, you were pretty strong. I could not copy. It was just too couldn't pick out the audio. But the carrier was stronger than normal. Mike, without any AGC, when you come on after I'm listening to N6BCT, you blew my eardrums out. I still hear the ringing. Henry, and also Vern. The squirrels are loose. Anyhow, Ron, Lemon Valley, just north hooting and holler from Mike, and this morning running the TDE with the 811 amp at 150 watts carrier, and listening on the RAL and talking through carbon stuff in a little thing. Anyhow, go ahead and take it away, Mike. W7MS, NU6F.
Well, I'll jump in there. And, yeah, Ron, it goes to me, WA7YBS, and then I turn it to Mike. I'm going to have to ask everybody to stand by for just a second. I'm only drawing 100 milliamps of plate current on this transmitter. I got to check the antenna, so stand by just a second. I guess that's as good as it's going to get. And so anyway, morning to all. Good signals from everybody. Bill's got a lot of highs. Very easy to understand. Bill today, which is not good news for John, W6MIT. Hopefully he's moved to Texas, but, you know, it's kind of doesn't seem, well, I don't know. Anything's possible. Let's hope. Anyway. Well, let's get on with things here. It was 49 degrees this morning. Oh, now we're... Anyway, it's 49 degrees this morning, and let's see, and cloudy. We're running the ART13, and about 120 watts or so of carrier power. And the antenna is a collinear array, 2-element. And the receiver is a National HRO7 table model, but in black wrinkle finish. I think these were made for airports, go along with the rack mount HRO7, which was standard from the factory, black wrinkle finish. But the table models were always the light gray colors. But there's a few of these black wrinkle finish table models around, and I think that was what they were for, was for airport use. And so anyway, that's what the receiver is. Everybody's sounding good. So with that, let's turn it over to Mike, W7MS, WA7YBS.
Well, thank you, Henry, WA7YBS, W7MS, Mike in Reno. Glad to be here this morning on the Nevada Vintage Military Net. Thank you, Carla, for running the show, and thank you for not ignoring Chuck in the rotation. He's lucky number 8. I was having this image of an 8-ball on a Q table, but we'll await further comments from Chuck. And good morning to everyone on frequency again, and thanks for the interpretation on Bill's transmission. I thought that's what I had heard, and Henry, thanks for the confirmation on what what Bill was alluding to, and of course, good morning to him. This morning, rotated over to the rack of HF80 equipment, so 250 watts of carrier with upper sideband attached, and a noise canceling microphone with a lip bridge. So I'm shouting into the microphone this morning, so we're doing okay. And yeah, a few comments. I was chuckling on that nice compliment that I received from Ron on his lack of ABC, but I was just, the coincidence was the latest Antique Wireless Association YouTube video has to do with Hazeltine and the development of ABC and the gentleman that was involved on that. And I'm sure Henry could go right from memory on that one, but also a video or two back in history, had a gentleman discussing national receivers, and specifically the thumbnail was AGS. And Henry did receive, and he may be aware, he did receive some acknowledgement. And as I recall, there's a rather ancient picture that was displayed in that AWA YouTube video of someone who's, I guess that was Henry back in the 90s, up on the cover of Electric Radio. Nice picture, and I was glad to see that this gentleman was a gentleman in his PowerPoint presentation, because quite often you see lack of attributions. So that's the setup here. Good conditions. Yeah, springtime weather. I was out for my 4-mile fast walk Friday over at the Sparks Marina. The squirrels were out. That was my squirrel report, and the pigeons were having public sex everywhere. So that tells me spring has sprung. So over to Vern, K6 at VXY W7MS.
Okay, thanks, Mike. This K6 VXY here, running about the typical, was it 90 watts? 90 to 100 watts. Of course, the power goes down with this controlled carrier coming out of the IC7200, running into an SB200. And had an interesting visit yesterday with W6MQI. Dave, thank you for your hospitality. There's a nice dog there, and he moved him away because I'm still not 100% stable. So the dog came up to me and I petted him, and boy, he could have knocked me over easy, but he didn't. He was nice. So I did all the tube testing yesterday. Oh, the antenna here is still half-wave antenna up about 40 feet, 40 to 45 feet at the ends. And also got some good news and bad news from yesterday. I think I mentioned that to Dave when I was there. It says the good news is that all of the tubes tested on the Marauder were good. Some were weak, but they were good. And also I did some checking, Dave. The 6U8 was a direct replacement, even mentioned online. I did looked at the specs for the 6BE6. Yeah, no, 6BE8, that's it. And all the rectifier tubes. I'm probably going to get a 5U4 because that's a little more hardy than the 5B4. They had Heathkit recommended a 5R4, and that's what was stamped onto the chassis, and they all worked. But the 5R4 is definitely one you want for the high voltage. I think it's got 1700 volts PEP. I'm sorry, PVP, peak reverse. Peak, peak, what do they call that? Peak envelope power? No, I forget. I don't have the spec in front of me. It's pretty hardy. And the question about the 3975 crystal, can it be moved, or has it been moved already, will remain to be answered for a while, but the crystal did show up. So the bad news is all the tubes worked. I guess it's good news too, but there's still more to investigate. Okay, but thanks, Dave, and got a nice scope he wasn't using anymore. Fired that thing up, it's in the kitchen. Boy, that's nice, fancy. And then I got an RF generator too. Very nice. And let's see, I was going to mention, I stopped at, it's called Helping Hands here in Groveland, California, and I was looking for a strong table that would hold a Marauder. And there was one sitting on the floor, and it was a half price sale at that Quonset hut place where I bought it. So it's real nice. It's kind of a walnut looking thing, and it's got flap out sides, you know, that fold down. So it's about 18 inches by, I'd say 24 inches, no more than that, not quite 30, maybe 18 by 28 on the top surface. So that's going to work out nice for a home for the Marauder. This table here is strange. It slowly sinks. I guess these lift tables are designed to move things around but not necessarily stay at the right height, because it dropped about 2 inches here in about a week. So I'm going to make the table the home for the Marauder as I continue to test. I guess we're into resistance test next. Got all the tubes pulled, so one of the tests you're supposed to do on this thing after you build it, because I got the manual here, plus I have an online copy. I'm going to go through and mark up, check off, and see where there might be a problem. And Dave had a tube tester, a tube straightener, vacuum tube straightener, the little 9-pin guys. Those OA2 and B2s were kind of bent. And I don't know, maybe that was on the transportation, because what I'm going to do is I saw all four light up. Two of them, the two OB2s toward the back, are very light on the top part. There's like a little light in there. I don't know how to describe it. And I might switch V18 and V15 to see if it's the tube or is it just where it's located. But there's two spots I could move the OB2 regulator back and forth to. And I definitely saw the tubes toward the front that are darker fire, because he did something with his V67, I'm sorry, Dave, I don't remember the name of it. It's that fancy one. Tester, and it glows at the bottom, but none of them glowed at the top that much like they did here at the house. So it's quite a light. So maybe something's going on there. I keep hoping to find something bad, but I will replace a couple of the tubes just to do it. Traffic on the way back was not that bad. I wound up going downtown and just driving through that, and I remember that area. I went right downtown. I came out, let's see, South Livermore exit. Is that right? South Livermore Avenue. Yeah, that's the way. My daughter used to live over there. That's the way I used to get out back to the freeway. So I bypassed some of that traffic. Actually, it wasn't bad at all. It only got bad kind of creeping after Livermore. Not sorry, Livermore. Tracy. After Tracy and then out to Highway 99, it was kind of slow, but then it picked up again. And I was home around 6:15. Stopped at what's it, Escalon? Yeah, I got a nutrition there. I like those Baja. They're called a Baja Black or something. It's a freeze. It's a green-colored mix of some sort of soda. It's very good. And then I went over to our friends at Burger King and got a regular burger. I won't order fries again. It was $5 for some fries over there. I just split the meal for dinner and then headed out. I believe $1 for the small fries. The burger was great. The fries were okay too, but gee, $5. It was less than that for the hamburger. Okay, with all that, gonna enjoy that oscilloscope, Dave. Boy, that's nice. All the readouts on there and the digital stuff. nice bright LED trace on it. It's great. Okay, so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chuck. And I mentioned Chuck's name to Dave, and I says, I got to keep working on this because Chuck's got me going. He keeps saying, I'm looking forward to hearing that Marauder Vern. Yeah, well, me too. Okay, over to K0 DWC. This is K6 VXY. And good morning to all.
Okay, Vern, K6 VXY, K0 DWC. Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to hearing that Marauder, Vern, when you get it. I'm sure it's going to sound just great. Years ago, when Carla had a complete Heathkit set up, I got on there, and two guys heard me and started talking to me, and one guy was telling the other guy how sweet the sound was with that particular station, you know, and it was all Heathkit stuff, and you know, I thought that was different. If I remember right, I'm pretty sure it was single sideband, but yeah, some of that Heathkit stuff is pretty neat. You know, Marauder's a good-looking transmitter. The Apache is too. But anyway, we're looking forward to hearing that on the air, Vern, at your earliest convenience, whenever you get her ready and up and going. But yeah, this is Chuck, the old 8-ball here. I'm in the number 8 spot this morning in the back of the bus as usual. So, you know, situation normal. Oh, man. Well, I do want to say good morning to everybody. Got a nice group here this morning. And Vern, you sound like you're as busy as I am. The last week and a half, I've been so busy I haven't been able to think straight, crying out loud. As a matter of fact, I got to leave here in just a little bit and go to Reno for half the day and then come back. I got to come back and do some fence work and some gate work probably, because I've got a shipping container, another shipping container being delivered tomorrow morning. And he's going to put it in the back of the property. So I got to get back and get that done. But I got to go to Reno first and get some other stuff done down there. So I've been pretty busy here the last week and a half with a lot of different things. So anyway, I'm running the same thing Carla's running, ART13 R45 ARR7, 200 watts. And everybody sounds good. Another thing too, I hope John's okay, W6MIT, you know, maybe Bill can find something out, find something else out, and maybe send an email. And stand by. Okay, sorry about that. But anyway, Dave, I didn't realize you had a TCS-6. You know, that's one of the more rare TCS radios. The 5, 6, and to a certain degree the 7. I mean, the majority of the low numbers on those TCSs went to the Russians. You know, during World War II. You know, and to see a low number one like that, you know, they come up periodically, but they're not all that common. So, you know, you got yourself a pretty good one there, for sure. Both of mine are TCS-13s, you know, which is, you know, that's no big deal. But those early ones, they're a little bit more difficult to get your hands on. And if you do find them, you know, you hope that they're in original condition if possible, or haven't been hacked too bad. But anyway, good deal on that. Steve is pounding in. Bill is pounding in, and Ron. Henry is rattling the windows, and Mike is rattling the windows, and Vern is rattling the windows. So everything's good all the way around. So anyway, I guess I will give it back to Net Control to see if there's a number 9 out there. So W4DBQ to take it. This is K0 DWC.
Okay, K0 DWC, this is Whiskey 4 Delta Victor Quebec. Let me see if there's anybody out there who'd like to check in on the tail end, and be number 9, please come now. Okay, nothing heard. So, yeah, and I wanted to say that, Steve, I'm glad you survived the fire you had. That doesn't sound like it's too much fun. I get nervous sometimes when I turn on this big Variac thing Chuck's got in the corner with all those cables and stuff. I'm scared to death of that thing. So, sounds like it's got a lot of power or something. But anyhow, enough of that. Other than I've been doing changeover at work, a lot of things changing and stuff. So been putting in extra hours, even on days off, so that I'm supposed to be off. But it'll all work out around April probably, and under new management and new menus and all kinds of stuff. So we'll see. We'll see what's to come. So with that, I guess it was round 2, guys. Back up to the top. Today's W6 MQI to take it. This is Whiskey 4 Delta Victor, Quebec.
Okay, W4 DVQ, W6 MQI. All right. Yeah, capacitors. I haven't had one on the 120 line go out, but I had one on my Johnson Ranger. It was across the meter. Had one of those, what do they call them, Black Beauties or Bumblebees. I was working on the Ranger, and the case was off, and heard this whistling noise, and all of a sudden, kaboom! It was like an M80 going off, and there was foil and paper all over my shack when that thing blew up. And man, was it loud. But yeah, that's scary having something blow up like that. I guess you could replace that with, what do they call it, XY cap? Put one of those XY caps. I think those will go across the 110 line. Then they have Y caps and X caps that go to ground. But I think the XYs will go directly across the 110. Don't quote me on that. Let's see. Yeah, Chuck, TCS6. Well, I didn't know that. I didn't think I had anything special here. So that's it. That's interesting information. Thanks for that. And let's see, Vern. I'm glad I helped out there. And it's good meeting you. And Henry the dog says hi. Good morning. Yeah, he's about 80 pounds and thinks he's a lap dog. He's a bit of a brute. He moves furniture in the house, so I was a little nervous having him around you. The other lap didn't even come out to say hi. She's 13 years old. She was probably sleeping on the side of the house. Didn't even realize you were even there. But luckily we were able to corral Henry and stick him in the garage for you. And glad that I was able to find a good home for the scope and the RF Sig Gen. You know, I could sell that stuff, but God, you can hardly give it away. People don't want that. They want the nice, fancy digital stuff. But so I'm glad that you'll find good use for it. And glad the traffic was good for you. I was a little worried about that because it could get nasty going up the Altamont on Fridays, especially a holiday weekend. Projects here, just still working on my radio project at PRC 174 clone. I built a voltmeter that uses LEDs to keep an eye on the battery level in the radio. And I got a little carried away. I used Arduino Nano and wrote some code for that. So as the voltage goes down, you know, the LEDs start to fade off down to, you know, the last red one there when it gets down to about, I don't know, 7 volts or something like that. and use some pulse width modulation to fade the LEDs as well, so they'll just turn off. They kind of slowly fade off. So it works good, and I have it sort of temporarily mounted in the front face. Just I'm kind of building things and setting them in there and seeing how they fit. And if I have any modifications to do, I could do it before they're 100% mounted in there. I guess that's it. I'm sure I'm missing something here. But anyway, over to Steve-O, W6SSP, W6MQI.
Okay, Dave, very good. Sounds like you guys had a nice visit here in Vern. And, yeah, glad traffic wasn't bad. Boy, I've fought that a few times. And, I stay at home mostly these days. I just don't want to deal with traffic anymore. And, boy, I hear you about, you know, trying to sell stuff anymore, especially oscilloscopes. Man, I'll tell you, I used to buy Tektronix, especially scopes at Foothill, and little swap meets, fix them up, take them back the next time and sell them. No problem. I was able to make a pretty good war chest for buying boat anchors from doing that. But these days, forget it. I've had a number of people give me some beautiful Tektronix scopes, needed work, put a lot of time and effort into them, take them to swap meets, and nobody even looks at them. Too nice to scrap out, so they're here. I don't even bother taking the swap meets anymore. They're just kind of here and there in the pile. And they'll be at my estate sale, no doubt. Anyway, interesting thing on eBay this week was a Navy TDE transmitter located in Florida. I had some really good conversations with Tom, W6OTE, Jeff, WB6MDH, and Jason, especially Jason, because he's in Georgia, real close to Florida, and it's sort of within driving distance of him. And the common consensus was that this thing was just too far gone, which is a shame. Really neat transmitter, pretty big, and Tom was saying this had the very rare 110 volt OC spring over the motor generator set. But a lot of corrosion, and only $100. Wish I was closer. If I was closer to Florida, I'd probably pick it up and call it a long-term project. But that is not the case. So anyway, that's about it. The only other project I've been working on is a meter clock. Got the prototype circuit working properly, and then the meter, which is this whole thing is built around, started sticking. So back to square one on that. Hopefully I can find a problem, because without that meter I probably won't build it. But that's how it goes sometimes. So, Bill, I want to mention that on your last transmission, you were clipping quite a bit. I would suggest turning down your mic gain, maybe 10 to 20%, and see if that helps. The highs were definitely there, much better than your audio in the past. But from here, I could tell that you were clipping quite a bit, so I would give that a shot. Anyway, N6BCT, W6SSP. Go ahead and take it, Bill.
I don't know how to do that. I have to look at my manual on this radio. Somebody got rid of my manual. So I finally got around to downloading it on the other computer. And not on this computer that I have over here. And so that's just very there. Anyway, there's some holes where the mic hits. It looks like there's looks like it's clear. And it's called transmission black. But I don't know what's the problem or not. the whiskey schools, and how to train them out also is the problem. Correctly, anyway, so there you go. Well, going through, when you stuff up and put
Okay, let's see if I got it. Having to listen over on the SDR, I didn't hear Bill here anymore, but I still couldn't copy. Anyhow, all right, guys. Boy, all kinds of stuff going on. Carla, okay, on the changes at work. Well, you know, the only real good change at work will be when retirement comes. And then Charlie will have all of your attention, and Chuck can get whatever's left over. And good deal, Dave, on meeting up with Vern. That was at least you guys had a day of good weather to do it, and in our pseudo spring that we're in, and on your and congratulations on getting that TCS from Putin. I guess where Ukraine failed, you managed to get one of his TCS-6s and leave. So there you go. And the Viking Ranger cap explosion. Well, I had the, well, you guys witnessed it here, the T3, when the other day when I heard the sharp crack, and I thought, uh-oh, what the heck went? You know, I've looked all over. I still never found it. So I don't know if it was one of Vern's mice that got in there or what the deal was. But you know, it didn't make any. It was an explosion with no smell. You know, not the characteristic smell of the electrolytic cap or the smoking resistors. No idea. But it's gone. And Steve, okay, on your exploding cap in the HP across the line. Yeah, I know, that's always something we can envision in our head. Well, leave the radio on and we're away from the shack, and oh gosh, I hope, you know, since all this stuff is long in tooth, and you know, parts have gone way past their expected maximum trouble-free hours. And Mike, you know, I turned it over to you because you're the next person I heard. I didn't hear, I heard Henry. Henry was the heterodyne, so there you go. I know who the heterodyne was. And, my hip, first one I had replaced back and forth to the doctor with that so far. And aren't feeling any better. But at least it's got no loose screws or missing parts. The body's not happy with it. And Vern, good deal on having that meeting, and too bad on in the tubes being okay, getting a nice shiny scope, even though, like Steve says, well, I just can't find any takers nowadays. And of course, I still got my old Tektronix, and it's, you know, it works great, does everything. It's the one I just kind of use mostly for the station monitor. And but yeah, when I needed to get a new scope, I had to. We're doing some fancier stuff. Why, yeah, I bit the bullet. Got a Chicom fancy scope with all the bells and whistles, and you know, and it does work, even though it's got stolen U.S. technology. And project here, oh, many a project. I've had a fair amount of success on 630 meters this week. Last week, in fact, I missed the net last Sunday because I was up until 2 in the morning Saturday night up until 2 in the morning, just trying to get some software going on my PC. One app, I had another SDR radio that I built a while back. But it's true SDR that has no local interface. You have to run that, one of the control apps on it. Anyhow, so I wanted to also run. I wanted to run a video on 630 meters because I've contacted all 4 or 5 stations that still use CW, and there's none left. There's only a very few the doldrums of the coverage compared to when it was so much better 7, 8 years ago. But apparently sunspot highs are real low for VLF and for medium frequency. But anyhow, I finally got the software going, loaded a couple more apps to patch between the two, and so it's working really slick. And I managed to have quite a few DigiQFOs, and now I think I've gone through almost all those guys I normally see. There was a guy in Hawaii 2 nights ago. Let's see, what was it? It's KH6/KL7L. So I worked him the other night, and then I take that. That wasn't a two-way QSO, that was a whisper. That was a whisper contact. Too bad if he was on Digi, I would have talked to him there because my signal levels into him were really 10 dB above what we needed for a QSO. And finally made it all the way out to the East Coast, to Vermont, and another couple of QSOs, but I'm running out of other stations, so I guess that's a good thing. Next go around, I'll tell you about my trip over to see Ethan at Hammond Hi-Fi, and I got a couple more little gadgets that more bench projects. Always a good thing. All right, with that, take it away, Henry. WA7YBS, NU success.
Okay. NU6F, WA7YBS. Yeah, I think I got the gain turned up on this microphone too much for the ART13 anyway. Just, we won't close talk the mic. Okay. Well, that 3325 that I got, I'll pop the lid on that thing and check the line cap on that and see what's there. It does work. It's not in the best of condition. In fact, that push button on-off switch there is missing the cap. So you got to stick a pencil in there, with an eraser end and turn the thing on and off. But hey, it's old. It was free. I can't complain. So anyway, it works good. I was messing around with it two or three days ago, setting up to do sweeps, sweep alignments, using that, which is a lot better than what I was using. And so anyway, John, KB6SCO, turned me on to one of those Chinese oscilloscopes that you can get brand new for $159. And apparently they're pretty good for what you get, for $159. But it's brand new, and it's for that price, he's using them just for monitoring stuff. So anyway, I did get to see one of those, and in action. Okay, Mike, on the Brian Harrison video there on the origins of the Super Heterodyne and the National, specifically on the AGS series and all of those receivers there. Yeah, Brian used, he didn't use any of my AGS pictures, except I think he did use the AGL photo that I had in the electric radio article back there in 1991. And that HRO that he used in the video, where it's a rack mount, that's the first production run. That's my photograph, my receiver, D65, 65th HRO build. It's not the earliest. I believe D17 is the earliest one found so far out of the first 100 HROs built. But yeah, there was little sprinklings of things in there that came off the website, and yeah, Brian's, we exchange emails all the time, so it's I knew about all of that stuff, and it was it's an interesting video, interesting stuff, and I'm glad somebody saw it besides me. And Vern, 5R4s versus 5U4s, two things to watch out. A 5R4's advantage is the filament's 2 amps instead of 3 amps. 5U4 is a 3 amp filament. Not too big of a deal at 5 volts, but it is something to think about. Also, the 5U4 will carry a lot more current. The 5R4 is only good for 200 milliamps, and I think the 5U4 is 250 or something like that. It's a little bit more. But anyway, there are differences between those two tubes. Other than just that the PIV is higher on the 5R4, but it's you know, you pay for it in other ways. You can't draw as much current. That's why a lot of times when you see 5R4s in something, there'll be 2 of them, so they can draw enough current. And let's see, one final thing there was the sweet sounding Heathkit. You know, when you hear that word, sweet, and it has to do with how things sound, you almost are positive you're talking to an audiophile. That's one of their favorite adjectives, is sweet sounding, especially when they're talking about rectifiers. I always like that. So anyway, with that, let's turn it over to Mike, W7MS, WA7YBS.
Well, thank you, Henry, WA7YBS, with great presence in his audio. W7MS, good reception from all with the exception of Bill, and that's not the exception. But more great comments on all road trip for MQI and Vern. Glad that all worked out, since that was a topic of discussion. And quick action on the part of the 2 of you on the handoff there, so congratulations. And Steve's comments about you can't even, well, you can give away oscilloscopes, analog oscopes. I did that, well, I did that over in Lincoln. I did it over at the N7 RCA swap meet. And in fact, in Lincoln, I dropped it off at the club table, wrote free on the scope graticule, and it was picked up by someone that I knew who thanked me for it. So it all worked out good, but it's tough. And that actually was an early generation digital Tektronix. With it was an interesting piece, but it was time for it to go because I went Chicom with a nice digital storage scope when I upgraded 2 years ago, because I'd had it. But I do have a 181 TR HP mainframe with some nice plugins that I still use because it's cool, and the nice display from an analog scope with a nice CRT is beauty in the eye of the beholder. So enough on that subject. Ocean containers being delivered. Well, that's kind of a stat, especially when you're in rural areas with some property. That's almost a status symbol, to see how many ocean containers you have on the property. So congratulations. I guess there'll be some spring cleaning and organization there, and in Dayton there off US 50, Chuck and Carlos, so congratulations on that. Steve's comments on the TDE, I did see that a few weeks ago, and it was a shame, I guess living in a high humidity environment, and at least on the, on the eye of the beholder on the surface, all that wrinkle paint cancer and corrosion. But I guess for $100, if it was just down the road, and with a helper or two to load it up, yeah, it's worth a save, and if not as a whole, maybe as a parts donor for other folks. And well, Vern, and this is not radio related, sort of, kind of, but my ears and eyes perked up when you said helping hands. Because I was always a subject up there in Groveland with my mother-in-law. She volunteered there at Helping Hands a day or two a week. So I've actually never physically been in the thrift store, but I certainly would hear conversations about it. So that's great. And good luck and happy trails on your continued voyage with the Heathkit. And I think let me see here. Oh yeah, I'm not working off the notes either. I'm trying to pull this from memory, and that could be difficult. But yeah, Dave's comments on the X1Y2 AC-rated line bypass capacitors. I got a couple of bags of those from the place in Sparks. And speaking of that, just kind of jealously waiting to find out what Ron picked up. I'm in that direction basically 3 times a week, but I try to avoid Ham and High Five because my last trip 6 weeks ago got me involved in quite a project. But with that, we'll keep it rolling. I don't know if this is the 73 round, but if we continue with old geezer transmissions like mine, we'll have to see what happens. So over to Vern, K6 VXY W7MS.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, I have a question for Henry on his next transmission. I got all mixed up on the tubes, but my gut feeling is I should buy, because I don't own a 5U4, get a 5U4 and stay with the 5R4 for the high voltage. And then the 5V4, Victor 4, would be gone. So that's something I can do at this time, especially if the tubes are all out in their box with that, excuse me, Dave handled so well. We were kind of like engineer and tech. Dave was working the tube tester, and I was taking notes with a sheet of paper. It was a spreadsheet I made up to make notes on how the testing went. That worked really, really well. And anyhow, let's see. I guess on that fire thing, I haven't had anything like that, or the capacitors across something. It's hard for me, I guess, being a little older. I might be the oldest one here. I turn 84 in a couple of months, and I don't feel like it though. I feel younger. Maybe the knee surgeries. It's getting better. We're getting an exercise machine this week, I think on Wednesday, where you put your feet on it and it moves your feet. It's good exercise because I don't get down to the exercise center or walk around as much as I should, and the weather lately hasn't favored that. So that's something to look forward to, getting a little more exercise with my knees. It's called an ellipse unit. You may have seen it on TV, and people there are real nice to work with. Spend quite a bit of time on the phone, and they got a self-help member. I'm thinking, too, the slow speed might be a little fast for me, not for my wife, but they have 3 speeds on it. And I got the Variac here. I was thinking I could just crank it down to 80 volts, which tends to make, I think it's a lot of motors, they're okay with the voltage going down. It's still got the 60 cycles on it, and it make it go a little slower for the first week or two. So you have 4 speeds. You have the Variac slow, and then the regular slow, and then you got speed 2 and speed 3 on that thing. But that'll be a good thing to do. And I found an interesting thing here. When I got on 10 meters years ago, I did it because where I was working at the time, a guy had moved into the area and had a 3-element Mosley TA-33. And I got that on 10 meters and discovered all the activity in the San Francisco Bay Area. I was in San Jose at the time, and I used that a lot. Of course, being horizontally polarized. And then I got a Finco antenna, which I lost. I had a brand new one I was going to use when I retired. Fire got it, but it was 4-element, lightweight antenna. I think it weighed 12 pounds. 4 elements. I worked all over the place with that. But the guy that was in Twain Harte couldn't hear me. I made up a vertical antenna for 10 meters. It was up about 15 to 20 feet at the base. It's still there. But when I went to 40 meters, of course, you know the ground wave's going to be a lot better. He heard me gambusters. It's a 40-meter antenna I've got set up. It's horizontally polarized. And I'm thinking that, I'll try doing the 10-meter as a horizontal antenna. I'll just add a spider leg or even just set it up as a horizontal. It's rather interesting. I've never really tried anything like that outside of using a beam on 10 meters, which was great. And then I even set up as 2 elements there for a while. I could do 2 elements or 4, whatever. Then I think I had a 6-meter set up, 6 and 10, in the backyard in Dublin by the time we moved there. But that vertical worked good. I worked Japan with, actually with that vertical antenna with the radio I got from Mike, the HX10, I worked Japan. 5 watts sideband and a vertical antenna. And it wasn't like real strong, but it was 100% conversation, so that worked out real well. And I worked all over the United States, well, not all over, but the Midwest and the East Coast, which is kind of your typical 10-meter stuff with that HX10. Actually, I haven't used this radio here that I'm using, the ICOM, but I'm going to, this week, it looks like the weather will be good. It's warming up. It's actually warm. I actually had the air conditioning on in Livermore on Friday. I couldn't believe it. It's a little sweating a little bit. That's nice. It's freezing death up here all winter. Anyhow, with that, let's move on to K0 DWC Chuck. It's K6BXY. Good morning, all, but I will mention your names. Dave and Steve and Bill and Ron and Henry and Mike and Chuck. So I know you're all there. And Carla at control. Great net. It's K6BXY over to K0DWC.
Okay. All right, Vern, very good. Everybody's signals continues to be really, really good. Yeah, maybe that's better. Shut down the second receiver. The R388. I got the R388 on the loop in conjunction with the ARR7, which is on the dipole. But anyway, yeah, signals are still good. And yeah, Dave, those low number TCSs, they were part of like a Lend-Lease type deal with the Russians. They got most of those, and, of course they didn't pay for them, and they kept them, typical, but, yeah, those low numbers you don't see them around too often. Well, I take good care of that, Mark. I'm sure you will. But, yeah, not a whole lot going on right now, but I'm going to get the press ready to shoot over the hill. And Carla wanted me to tell you that the piece of equipment that she's scared to death of is the PP1104 with a General Radio Variac. That's what she's intimidated by. So it looks like something out of the Frankenstein movie. So she wanted me to tell you that. Anyway, stick around here for the 7-3 round, and I'll send it back over to Carla so she can do the 7-3 round. So W4 Delta Victor Quebec, K0DWC.
Okay, K0DWC, this is Whiskey 4 Delta Victor Quebec. Let me see if maybe there's somebody would like to check in on the tail end of this round before we go to 73 rounds. Is there anybody like to be number 9? Please check come out. W7MKA Robert, good morning. Let me see if there's maybe somebody else would like to check in and be number 10. Please come now. Okay, W7MKA Robert, go ahead and make a transmission and send it back up to me, W4 Delta Victor Quebec.
All right, W4 Delta Victor Quebec in the group W7MKA Robert and Grants Pass. To say good morning with pretty decent signals. Nobody's super strong, but I think I've got pretty good coffee so far. We were kind of late getting down here this morning. It was a pretty difficult part of Sunday. Working on the 16 a.m. Charlie White Tracer and GA2 did some reorganization here yesterday. As a telefunction that's about the same size and weight. Back up to Carla before DVC in the group W7MKA.
Okay, W7MKA, this is Whiskey 4 Delta Victor Quebec. Very good, Robert. You sound good in here this morning in Dayton, Nevada. So, is there anybody, one more time, one more check-in, be like number 10, please come now. Nothing heard. I touched the most button. So, okay, guys, it'll be 73 rounds. So back up to the top. W6MQI, W4DVQ.
W4. Wrong on my throat there. All right, W4DVQ, W6MQI. Let's see, Steve, I turned it down a little bit, although it looks like it's back on the mic. Could be that crappy 386 that got in privacy. All right, guys. And good morning to Robert. I'm hearing you, but boy, barely hearing you. And Ron, you faded off in the distance too, to the point where I couldn't even hear you anymore. Weird propagation. And Vern, I would not put a variac on that treadmill. That's not the way to roll the motor down. All right, guys, 73, I'm gonna get out of here. Everybody, over to Steve.
Boy, noise level is way up. I'd say it's 20 dB higher than it was just a few minutes ago. So not able to copy people all that well. Chuck, thank you for the information on the TCS. I did not realize that low versions of that, low numbers of that were largely sent to Russia. got two PCS sets. They're both quarterly 13s and main 14s, so power ones. Hungry on your 3325. It may have a power module, one of the rectangular power modules that has the integral fuse, line voltage select, and filter. If that's the case, I think it is. If you look at the back of that module, there may be an L-shaped piece of metal, and that capacitor might be tucked under that piece of metal. It could be integrated into a sealed filter too. So if you don't see it there, then it's in the filter and you can't do anything about it. But I don't think it'll be on the main board of the 3325. Anyway, guys, hope to see you all next weekend, and good net as always. Longer days, and I think propagation is going to start suffering towards the end of the net now. So we'll send it over to Bill, Half-Moon Bay, N6BCT, W6S273, all.
Okay. Yeah, I heard you in there, Bill. I just couldn't copy the audio. But anyhow, well, good deal. Good net as usual. And Carla, thanks for running herd on the chickens. And Dave, glad you guys got, like I say, you guys got together, and yeah, you're right on the temptations to use a variac on the motor, AC motor, not going to work well. And Steve, yeah, that Navy, that TDE that was there in Florida, that was on eBay, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago, and so it's been waiting there for a long time. But yeah, it's pretty far gone, and yeah, mine of course is much more cosmetically good looking, and obviously it works just great now with the MG set and all. And of course, that's how we ended up with this one. Tom needed the AC supply out of this one, and Andy had moved on. So anyhow, that's how we got this one. And that project with the MG set, nothing big on the Hammond Hi-Fi trip, except it was the one thing I said, oh, well, that's kind of slick, I could use that, was an Ameritron remote 4-position antenna switch. Well, that started another project because I phantomed my DC for the auto tuner out on that, the homebrew auto tuner. So, all right, well, I'm going to go ahead and I won't use that coax, I'll use the other one. And I also needed to switch for 630 meters. I needed to remotely move the long wire from the Ballon that I use for HF over to the BC603. And I couldn't do that with this switch. So, okay, I'll build an outboard box using the control signal from the Ameritron uses for the remote switch. Well, what was going to be an easy project, it finally worked out last night, but I'm embarrassed to see how much time I spent to try and get one relay to pick up on AC, another to pick up on DC positive, another one on DC negative.
But anyhow, because I didn't think I had an FET that would work there, I ended up going a different route, opto-isolator, and I looked in the junk box last night after I was ready to put the first unit in place, but it just wasn't working 100% consistent. And lo and behold, I had plenty of MOSFETs that would work there. Changed my design to what I started out with. But anyhow, that's the way it goes. One project, or one purchase, like you say, Mike, at Hammond Hi-Fi, leads to the loss of your life for the next couple of weeks. So, but don't worry, the Manhattan Project will pay off, even though there will be those that will criticize you on how appropriate it was to use that device on the radio public, much as Hiroshima. Good deal, guys. And Henry, yes, I love the sound of a 5R4 as opposed to a 5U4. Much crisper audio. Okay, 73s, guys, I'll listen out. Take it away, Henry, with your crisp 5R4 audio.
Okay. NU6FWA7YBS. Yeah, I don't know what to say there. Yeah, I backed the mic gain down a little bit, so maybe I don't have that presence anymore. But at least I'm not, having the current meter bang up against the right-hand side of the meter case. So anyway, morning to Robert. Good signal in here, W7MKA. Yeah, you were Q5 copy, and probably about an S8, S9, so no problem. And good to hear you. And everybody else, we're all signing off, so we won't hold it. 73 all around. Everybody have a good one. I think I'll be net control next week, so hope to hear everybody back. With that, I'll turn it over to Mike, W7MS, WA7YBS.
Well, thanks, Henry. WA7YBS, W7MS. Yeah, signals are down for distant stations, but Robert was still Q5, but definitely noticeably deficient on carrier noise, but also was Dave. So I think, we're all, it's time to say adios. Maybe another indication of springing. But life is a compromise. I think that's the ultimate conclusion with that. And good job, obsessive compulsive Ron with the Ameritron remote switching device. Good job. And also, since you weren't here last Sunday, there was the official debut, or we're going to say debut, of the Manhattan Project. It became officially the National NC600 transmitter. So decided to give everybody a rest on yaddity about that restoration project. So with that, 7-3s from Reno. Thanks, Carla. And thanks, Chuck. And over to Vern for a wrap-up here. K6VXY, W7MS.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Just real quick, a question for Henry. So I got the impression the best thing to do for my current state here is get a 5U4, somehow off a new tube, 5U4, and stay with the 5R4. Is that correct? It's K6VXY.
Yeah, Vern. If that's what is called out in the manual, to use a 5R4 in your plate supply, that's what you should use. That's the voltage rating of that particular tube. And for using the 5U4 manual for the low voltage current rating. So yeah, use whatever the manual indicates on there. The manual knows all, usually. Anyway, back to you for K6VXY. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Henry. Yeah, that's what I figured. And yeah, the manual knows best. I'm sure glad I got one. And you know what's really nice about this radio? You can get, and you don't have to pay for it, $20 or whatever they charge. You can get a download of the HX10 manual, and I've been downloading parts of it. It's eventually going to be 100%. I do have the original manual, but it's an original manual printed in 1963. So it's kind of got to be careful with it. It's starting to fall apart a little. Got to write this down. There's 5, 4, and a plus. Because I've got the 5R4 and a 5V4. So the 5V4 is going to go bye-bye, and I'll have a 5U4, and then I'll fiddle around. Actually, those OB2s, one's a screen regulator, it says. I think another one's some sort of bias regulator. It's just weird, that glow. I didn't get that on the tester. Dave we saw a little bit of glow, but not like it does here. I'm just wondering if it's not too big a deal, I just replace those and see what happens. I can swap a couple of them. The OB2s, I can try that too, but we're not talking a lot of expense here. I don't think. The 5U4 shouldn't be that expensive than these other two. Okay, 73s to all, and I will not use a Variac. I got a thing here on my notes that says no Variac, and the arrow pointing to, excuse me, Ron, NU6F, and also to Dave, W6MQI. Don't use a Variac. Okay, I won't. I was a little worried about that. You know, sometimes motors don't like it when you start messing with the voltage. And, yeah, I was just practicing. That's what I'm going to do. I was practicing going at one beat a minute. I'm sorry, 1 beat a second. I could do that. I was just imitating it on the floor here, moving my legs as much as that moves them, which isn't a lot. So, anyhow, and they have a beat counter on it, so you can tell how far you've gone because they have a little counter on it somewhere. I didn't see it, but it'll count how much time you used it. That's a good deal. Anyhow, 73's all. I'm glad I made it. I slept a lot yesterday. I'm not used to driving there, Dave. It's kind of like old times being in that commute traffic, though. It wasn't bad. I was used to it. I found, and it's still true, the middle lane's the best. Get that middle lane. If it's 4 lanes, you know, there's a couple middle lanes. You just pick 1. 3 lanes, you want the middle lane. Too much activity on the outside and inside lanes, so the middle lane just kind of eases along nicely. That worked out good. 73's all, and back to you, Carla. Let's see. I started. Oh no, I'm sorry, Chuck. K0 DWC. Go ahead.
Okay, Vern. K6BXY K0 DWC. All right, very good all the way around. Good morning to Robert. Robert, I'll give you the same report that Henry gave you here in Dayton Valley. Nice signal, no problems, 2.5 copy, got an S8, S9 signal this morning. Glad you caught us this morning on the net there. I know you might have been a little bit late, but appreciate you being there, and appreciate everybody being there. So anyway, Mike, congratulations again on the resurrection of the James Miller transmitter. That's obviously a historic transmitter, and very worthy of restoration. So that's a feather in your cap there, my friend. So that has really, really nice audio to it, I thought, when you had it on and debuted it last week. So look forward to hearing that again here in the near future. So anyway, I'll say my 7.3s, guys. Henry, I'll try to give you a buzz sometime later today. If not, I'll try to do it tomorrow. But I don't know how my timeline's going to go today. It's been a mess this whole week. So anyway, I'll say 7.3s again, and I'll send it over to Robert. W7MKA in the group. So, Robert, go ahead and take it, and you guys have a good week and good weekend ahead, and we'll talk to you later. W7MKA, go ahead.
Robert, W7MKA, are you there? This is W4DBQ. It's your turn. Go ahead.
Robert just signed. He's just tickling my noise floor, W7MS.
Okay, thank you, Mike. W7MK, very good. 73 to you, and 73 to everybody. And I want to thank y'all for being there. So this is Whiskey 4, Delta Victor, Quebec, securing the vintage military radio net. I would like to thank everyone for their participation and invite everyone back next Sunday where Henry will be net control. So I'm going to turn the frequency back over to regular amateur radio use. This is W4 DBQ signing in clear. 73 guys.